Federal and state investigators are trying to get to the bottom of a recent outbreak of lung illnesses.
They warned Americans not to use e-cigarettes.
193 potential vaping-related illnesses.
There are 450 reported cases.
He is now reporting more than 800 confirmed and probable cases.
Several mysterious deaths.
We're learning a Nebraska man is the 14th person to die in the U.S. from vaping.
Cases of lung injury associated with using e-cigarettes.
The CDC does not know the cause, nor do I.
So Wendy, have you heard about the kids and the vaping?
Oh my gosh, it's so scary.
It's really scary. Should we talk about it on this podcast?
I think we should. Yeah, let's do it.
Welcome to Working Smarter, Concise Compliance Conversations, featuring Wendy Rubis, sponsored by Village MD, primary care physicians, practice medicine the way you've always wanted, data, resources, and clinical decision support to care for your patients inside and outside the exam room.
Hi, welcome to Working Smarter. I'm Wendy Rubis, General Counsel of Village MD. Today I'm here with Janessa Nelson. Hello, Janessa.
Hi, everyone. We have a very special episode for news alert, essentially, because of the recent news, and it's been getting worse. So we wanted to tell everybody about this.
Yes, but before we do, I just wanted to thank you, Janessa, because we're now available on Apple Podcast, Spotify, and everywhere you get your podcasts. Right.
Yes.
Okay, so thank you for helping that happen. And also wanted to thank all of our listeners for your amazing comments and your supportive feedback. It's so appreciated. And Janessa, I have a comment from a listener.
Oh, really? Can you read it to me?
And this is a listener who is a avid listener. So we get a lot of comments from this listener. Mm-hmm. And it happens to be my mother.
Oh my God, I love it.
So hi, Mom.
Yeah, so can you read it out to me a little bit?
Hi, newsflash. Just listened to your talk on Horse on a Plane. It was so awesome. I loved how it started out. You were like, oh no, I can't believe this. You've got to be kidding me, LOL. It was so cool. I found it very interesting. Also interesting that Janessa had a horse experience.
Okay, we're done with this message now.
Experience, which I did also love the horse. The horse was great.
Thank you,
So
everyone.
anyway, thank you, Mom, and everyone else for your comments. Keep them coming. We love to hear from you if you have ideas for topics or if you'd like to be a guest. So that was a non-serious side, but this is nothing to joke about. This is a very serious topic. So Janessa, why don't you catch us up on where we are on this epidemic?
Yeah, so there's been a multi-state outbreak. At first, I believe it was just a small handful of states, about 8 states. And now it's spread throughout the country. It's not localized in any way, shape, or form. There have been some very serious warnings that have been released by the CDC and have escalated over time just due to the quantity and how quickly it's spreading.
So scary. Super
So
scary.
And also, just so you know, the CDC is still investigating, and if anybody is saying that they know exactly what's causing it, they don't.
They don't know, which is another reason why it's scary. Mm-hmm. And they did find the Walter White of vaping. I don't know if you heard about that. Do you know who Walter White is?
Yes, of course.
So they found the Walter White in Wisconsin, and he was making these vaping things in his home, and they busted him. It was hundreds of thousands of things that he had, and they were hoping that was it, but it turns out
it's not.
No.
Yeah, it may be a lot of problems.
But do I get points for the Walter White?
Yeah,
I did watch that.
Yeah,
It was very scary for me, that show.
So just so you know, for everybody who's listening, this has mostly been affecting young people. So I think it's over 70% of the patients have been under 34. And that includes patients who are under 18.
Yeah, and they're really, really sick. So like on a vent or like near death.
And they're like 19 years old.
And obviously, I'm not a clinical person, but it's something about the way the lungs respond in their efforts to try to heal themselves. So it starts gradually, and then it gets much worse.
And these kids are never going to recover fully. So
Yeah,
this is a really serious problem.
Yeah, it's not a little bit sick. I mean, they're like in the ICU on a vent.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So as you can see, if you're watching on screen, we have a really nice map that's illustrating where all the cases and the deaths have been. So far, there have been 12 deaths reported in multiple states.
46 states.
46 states have been affected so far.
Basically everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. In our show notes, we have a link to a newsletter, and we've heard from some of our providers that they've even been sharing this with their patients, and it basically just has sort of, an overview of what to look out for. And we worked with that, I should say, our chief medical officer, Dr. Clive Fields, who's a frequent guest on the podcast. We worked with him. He basically wrote the newsletter and sent that out to all of our Village MD physicians.
We base this off of what the CDC was saying. And so this is sort of advising, this is not coming directly from us. This is coming from professional, knowledgeable sources.
Click on the link and share that with your practice or your patients. But the main point to know as far as looking out for symptoms is what? Is
that symptoms will gradually develop over time, over the course of several days or several weeks. And it won't just be pulmonary symptoms. It could be GI symptoms,
That's so weird.
Vomiting, diarrhea, and then could become respiratory symptoms. Once again, they don't know a ton about it.
Yeah.
So it's been really hard to sort of grapple. So they're trying to tell everybody just look out for symptoms that are being presented for any patient who's using e-cigarette or vaping product.
Got it. And related to that, the CDC, I thought this was really interesting. They put out some guidance about taking a detailed history, which I assume, Janessa, is because of the epidemiology. And one thing I read is that it's a new thing. Physicians aren't always used to asking. They ask, do you smoke? But not do you vape. So this is an example. Can you tell us what is the history that they're looking for?
Yeah.
And this is on our newsletter as well.
Exactly. So if you're watching on screen, some of the just basic information they're trying to collect, the substances that are used in your e-cigarette, because that could be marijuana, THC, could also just be nicotine. The source of the substance, where did you buy your sort of like cartridge? If you're using a Juul product, if you're using a different product, where you bought them, how you sort of are using the product, and then if you've shared your e-cigarette with anybody else.
Ew. So Janessa,
the important thing to know is that the CDC is trying to collect as much information as you can. So if you get a patient that comes in, we recommend that you ask these questions and record them, and then either submit them to your state's Department of Public Health or the CDC.
There's a protocol, of course, to report these. If you work with Village MD and you need help, let us know. But, they're still trying to get to the bottom of it. So this is another interesting aspect, which is the message from the CDC and from DHHS and from the FDA is sort of evolved. And so what is the public message about vaping?
The public message about vaping is to not vape.
Don't vape. And by the way, Wendy Rubis's children do not vape. There will be no vaping by the Rubis children if they're listening, which, by the way, they're not listening. But if they were, they would know.
Yeah. And I am really lucky that I don't vape.
There's no vaping on the Working Smarter production team. No, not allowed. No.
Yeah. Initially, they were just like, don't buy products from off the street or whatever. But now they're just saying, don't.
This was viewed as a safe alternative to smoking. And now that's all being questioned. Is it a safe alternative? So for right now, the message from the CDC is avoid it. Avoid it.
And there will be more information that the CDC is releasing over time as they get more information. They are scientific, and so they want to ensure that they have the right results before they release information about what they think is actually
happening. So don't vape, and if you have to vape, which you don't, so don't do it. But if you did, don't buy it off the street.
Yeah.
Don't modify. Why would you do that? I don't understand. Maybe I'm old. I don't know. I'm just reading the thing. Yeah. Do not modify it. Okay. Seems obvious to me, but okay, fine. And then check the CDC.
Yeah, so if your patients want more information, you can always direct them to the CDC directly.
Bottom line, the key takeaways here are these symptoms occur gradually, so be on the lookout. If you do find a case, take a detailed history, make sure you report it, make sure to recommend, the right course of treatment, and tell your children if they're Rubises that's not the takeaway. Tell your patients not to avoid vaping until this is all sorted out. Thank you, Janessa, for joining us today.
Thanks for letting me come on and tell this important news alert.
Thank you to our sponsor, Village MD. We hope you will join us for future concise compliance conversations.